You're live now.
Okay, we are live on Hangout on Air. So I think that means it's probably time to begin. We're going to thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming tonight to a series of events. I know during the week it can be difficult to come out, but we appreciate people taking the time and pizza. Super brief version of the agenda for tonight. I actually wanted to start with very quick introductions of yourselves, of who is here. Just be who you are and where you're from, and perhaps in one sentence why you're here, sense of who's in the room. And then I want to give you a little bit big picture about Atlas Corps, and then Meredith and Sam and Evan and Kelly and others are doing a presentation on ways that you can volunteer. Sound good? Great. Then you're gonna go live. So if you don't want to be live, just let me know. Did you sign the media release on the way in? Okay. Then I don't know who's watching this.
Probably no one, but we want to provide as an option. We do have virtual volunteers, which you will learn about. So
yeah, we have volunteers all over the world. I don't know if any of them are marching right now. So relatively brief introductions. You could begin.
Hi, I'm Wafa. I'm a Palestinian citizen of Israel. I'm here in the US. I participate in an internship program by the State Department until December. Back home, I am a director of NGO called Ajib. It's a word in Arabic, which is meaning I'm coming toward you. And also, it's for volunteering and leadership for youth and young people.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm from Kazakhstan. And currently, right now, I'm staying here, preparing for graduate school. I used to work for the U.S. Embassy back in Kazakhstan, and in the summer I quit my job and joined. I'm one of the founders of one of the NGOs, so I'm remote working on that direction.
Awesome. No, I feel free to say a little bit more. Okay, great.
Hello, I'm Pascal Masuba, an Atlas Corps fellow from Sierra Leone first, and I'm serving at World Vision International as child protection and gender knowledge management coordinator.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Pascal. And Asu, let's have you guys go in the back row real quickly.
Okay, my name is Anisuma Sube. It's similar to Masuba, but it's Masube. I'm an Atlas Corps fellow from Zimbabwe. I'm serving the American Express Foundation as an alumni coordinator for American Express Leadership Academy.
My name is Andrew Tangus. I'm an Atlas Corps fellow from Australia. I'm serving at Atlas Corps with Scott, working on actually Atlas Corps Australia and bringing new fellows to Australia next year. So really excited.
Awesome, Selma.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming first. So my name is Selma Bardakci. I'm an Atlas Corps fellow from Turkey, class 20, and serving at John D. Evans Foundation.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Abdul. I'm from Pakistan, Atlas Corps fellow, class 22. I'm serving at the Atlas Corps finance team.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Nicola Otland. I work at the Peace Corps, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Bulgaria.
I'm Mohammed Akram. I'm Atlas Corps fellow from Pakistan. Serving with SERV, Center for Islamic Religious Freedom, and I'm class 22.
Excellent.
Hi everyone, my name is Imad Hanoun. I'm from Syria, Damascus. I'm a interior designer. I'm here since 2014, and I have my own studio of interior design services.
Awesome, thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Aisha. I'm originally from Turkey also, and so I'm kindly invited to this gathering. It's great to meet all of you. I work in international development, and it's great to meet all of you.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm the Program and Development Manager with Atlas Corps, and I was also a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine.
Hi, I'm Lana. I'm an Atlas Corps fellow from Russia. I'm serving in Community Kitchen, and I'm working in fundraising and development.
Evan.
My name is Evan Wiley Bella. I'm the manager of host experience here at Atlas Sport, and I serve the Peace Corps Burkina Faso.
Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly Reed. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Atlas Corps.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Newmark. I'm the Program Director here at Atlas Corps. Thanks for coming.
Hafez.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hafez, batch 19, Atlas Corps Fellow, serving in human rights campaign.
Excellent. And in the corner.
Oh, sorry. My name is Edward Burnett. I served on the selection board.
Edward, do you remember who you interviewed?
I don't know if I interviewed anyone from this.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't been selected yet.
They haven't been selected yet. Excellent. Well, my name is Scott, and I'm the founder and CEO of Atlas Corps. I want to spend 5 minutes. We have a mixed crowd, folks who know Atlas Corps extremely well and folks who literally saw them pulled off the street a few minutes ago, so, and I think in a good way. So let me give you a little bit of background of Atlas Corps and then really pass it over to our team to tell you more about many of the volunteer opportunities, some of which you know, and really some others. And so some of this from some of you will be review, so apologies. But Atlas Corps is 10 years old this year. In fact, many of you know this month we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary gala on Saturday, November 19th, which will be an amazing fundraiser for us and opportunity to celebrate the success that we've had. And really this whole year has been an opportunity for us to look back on a decade of building Atlas Corps and what was in 2006 really just an idea that myself and some others had before I left my job at the U.S. Department of State for our other State Department friend who I worked at the U.S. Embassy in India. And when I saw my time in India or Bosnia or Colombia or Mexico or Pakistan, other places I've lived all around the world, so there are smart, talented, passionate people everywhere you go. Everywhere you go in big cities and small towns and wealthy nations and more developing ones, there's smart people who want to make the world a better place. Talent is universally distributed. But opportunity is not. There's a white male born with a U.S. passport. I could go to 150 countries without even needing a visa to volunteer, to develop my own leadership capacity, to try to make a difference. But the idea for someone from Palestine or Egypt or, for that matter, Mexico or Turkey to come here just wasn't going to happen. The visa is quite complicated, which most of us know. It's a very international crowd, complicated as well. And 10 years ago when we had this idea and this vision for this organization, so many folks said it literally couldn't be done. You couldn't find people who are willing to come and to volunteer a year of their lives to serve here. Sure, Americans do it, but will people overseas do it? Sure, the Peace Corps has been going on for a long time, but will people from overseas really come? Will they give a year of their lives, volunteer for basically nothing, and then go back to develop their countries and regions? And there's so many assumptions, which were both ignorant as well as foolish, that went into why they didn't think a reverse Peace Corps could happen. But I knew it could. I knew from the folks that I had met, from the people that I had worked with, that all around the world there were folks who wanted to do this. And what is a truism in life, whether it's overseas or here in the United States, sometimes you literally just have to ask. Invite people to service and invite people to lead. And now as we fast forward over the last 10 years, we've now had 500 leaders from 79 countries, including Palestine and Uzbekistan. I know not Kazakhstan, but close.
And Bulgaria.
And Bulgaria. Yeah. We had a great fellow from Bulgaria, Egypt, and many other countries who have come and served here in the U.S., who not only do I think have learned from the experience of serving organizations here, but we've learned from them. And perhaps most powerfully, they've learned from each other. And have gone back to run World Vision in Armenia, to run for office in South Sudan, to work on LGBT. We run a very unique, less than a $4 million nonprofit. Thousands upon thousands of people who have started our application. And we're placing close to 90 people in a year with 12 or less employees. And the way we do that is by engaging volunteers around the world, which is why we Google Hangout our volunteer engagement events. To say that we know in this world there are big challenges. And all you have to do is be remotely paying attention to the refugee crisis, to climate change, to the empowerment of women, all around the world and in this country as well, challenges in this world. But the vast majority of us want to do something about it, and sometimes don't even really know where to begin. But what we've been able to do with Atlas Corps by engaging so many volunteers, whether it be our fellows or our alumni, or our donors or our friends, to say, if we all contribute a little bit, we can make a big mark here. So how do you process 10,000 people who start an application? One, you have a difficult application, so a lot of people drop out along the process. And two, we have 150 people over the years who have served as selection board members, including, for the fellows in the room, fellows and alumni, who have been, and certainly return Peace Corps volunteers, who have read applications, who have interviewed candidates, who helped score them, because it is an insane idea to think that Samantha and Meredith and Nick and others on the team can or should read all those applications. It is much smarter for us to engage volunteers in that activity and then let them close the gap in what's missing and finish it off. You know, it is an insane notion that like we can hire enough team members to provide every element of support or mentorship or to our fellows who come here. In fact, our fellows don't want Atlas Corps staff to be their local ambassador or their host organization to be the person they have to go to for other advice. It's nice to have somebody else. Nice to have somebody else. And when I was at the State Department, it was a similar thing. They would set us up with folks who would be literally called social sponsors. We used to call them social sponsors. That been put in like it felt like they had to fund it or pay for it. So people like the term ambassador. There's so many ways that volunteers have helped us, even in Host Champions, which I think Evan and others will talk about, and helping us find host organizations for these fellows. So I've gone on longer than I intended to, which is probably no surprise to those on the team. But simply to say, thank you for coming. Whether it was Selma who just told you to come, or whether you've known about Atlas Corps, whether you've been a volunteer in the past, Atlas Corps is growing. As we increase our engagement in the Middle East, as we seek more nonprofit leaders, as we start sending people to new countries like Australia and Colombia and eventually South Korea and Malaysia, India, other places around the world, we will only grow this through a strong fellowship of leaders, through a strong community of volunteers, supporting what is really, truly the most amazing team. So thank you. I'm glad I got a chance to meet many of you beforehand. I have a 4-week-old son, so I actually can't stick around too long. But I hope you get a chance to hear what the team says and find a way to get involved in Atlas Corps, whether it's an hour to a month, 5 hours in a year. We could use your help and insights, and it's just an awesome community to get involved in. That's why we want to do these in-person events, so you guys can get to know each other a little bit better as well. Let me turn it over to Samantha. Sam, to tell you a little bit more about some of the ways that you can get involved.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. Thank you. Thanks everyone so much for coming. We really appreciate all of your support. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about the ways that you can get involved with Atlas Corps. And so one of the ways of getting involved is becoming a selection board member. And thank you to the people in this room that have contributed in the past. Did you?
Sorry, I went to the next slide. So.
Thank you. As becoming a selection board member, and thanks to people who are in here right now that have helped out with that. Really appreciate it. Selection board members take a really large role in helping us to actually select our fellows, whether that's reading applications or conducting interviews with them. It's really a unique way to get involved because you're kind of on your own schedule in volunteering with Atlas Corps. You're not really slated to certain times that you have to commit to. And it's also really cool just getting to know candidates from all over the world. And so it's a huge, huge help for us. Meredith, am I missing any big points of selection board?
I'd say you can do it even if a lot of times we have our native English speakers do interviews, and sometimes people who maybe English isn't their first language review applications. You can do either one. We have training materials to help you go through the process. It's like a 90-minute webinar as well as a handbook. So there's very detailed training materials, and then you commit to doing maybe 10 to 20 hours of interviews or application reviews each year. But it's really flexible. It's a great way to get to know some of our candidates. We have, as Scott mentioned, thousands of people doing the application, and we need help sort of deciding who the best ones are.
Yeah, I mean, and one other note, I know there's a lot of fellows in this room. Our fellows and alumni are some of our best selection board members because no one knows what it's like to be a fellow better than you guys. So, really, any additional questions, Samantha@atlascorp.org, and I'll be sticking around as well afterwards for any more questions.
Sure. Oh, and here's just a quote from one of our actual great selection board volunteers who actually received one of our awards from it, saying how much she enjoys meeting AtlasCorp candidates. Typically, it turns into a thoughtful conversation about development and how these talented young people would like to create change and move their countries forward. It's really inspiring and refreshing. So I hope for any of you who joined the selection board, I hope you also find it an inspiring volunteer opportunity. All right, so Evan, you're up to talk about AtlasCorp Champion.
So then our AtlasCorp champions essentially are individuals who refer us to host and speak about AtlasCorp to potential host organizations. We have over 10,000 applicants applying from over 150 countries, but we find that most of our organizations come to us through referrals. The overwhelming majority, actually. We only have close for about 90 fellows a year, so the more that you all can help us out, the more fellows we can place. So like I said, 50% of our new host orgs come through referrals. And so with the AtlasCorp fellows, as you know, and we've gone through, it's 2 to 10 years of experience. 65% have advanced degrees, fluent in written and spoken English, and then they have firsthand cultural and regional expertise. So as you're talking about AtlasCorp 2 organizations, these are the high points to hit. It's, I think the next point would say it's $35,000 or less a year. So if you're getting an individual with, 8 years of experience, because I'd say the average is 7 to 8 years. The range is 2 to 10 as set by the J1 visa parameters. But we are finding that, the majority have at least 7 years of experience. With an advanced degree, you're easily getting into, upper 60s, if not 70s in DC, and other towns probably a little bit more. So the value add is just tremendous. And what's even more important is that they do have the firsthand cultural and regional expertise. If you've served abroad, if you've served abroad, as a lot of Peace Corps volunteers will find, you can be there for 2.5, 3, maybe even 5 years, and you're still always the foreigner. There's always going to be something that you don't understand, but it really does help to have individuals from the ground coming to these organizations with that regional knowledge that a lot of teams don't have. I'm surprised at how many visits I do and realize that teams haven't even gone out sometimes. That's really what the ad is. If you take away the money, it's the fact that you have that firsthand knowledge. So like I said, those are the high points that you can really hit. That's all you really need to hit, and then you would connect them with Brittany, which is over here. Sorry. Yeah. So the ways that you can help, as you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, more, share those with your networks. How to reshare on Instagram aside from copying and attributing, but there's a way somewhere with an app. So you would, share those on your social networks. We send out, as we start doing placements, we start sending out candidates, our top 10 and things like that. So review those bios. If we try to put, candidates in the bottom of the email. As you read those, forward them onto your network. If you think of an organization that could be a great match, and then you're able to do an e-introduction to Brittany, just as simple as, hey, I'm Bob down at, he works at this organization. We thought that he'd be a great host for AtlasCorp Fellows. 48 hours to set up a call and learn out more about the organization and figure out how we can work together.
The fellows here without host organizations wanting to, add capacity to their team. So it's a really crucial. It's as crucial as having great fellows, having great hosts. So Thanks. So let's see. So the next one I want to talk about is being a local ambassador. So Scott mentioned this before. What what we call it is a local ambassador. It's a kind of a first friend to a fellow, someone who is there to be a source of support during their year abroad in the U.S. While they're away from their home, away from their family. A lot of fellows are here in the U.S. for the first time, or at the very least the first long-term time for most fellows. So it's a difficult adjustment sometimes, and it's just nice to have a friend who's, like Scott said, someone who is not an at-score staff person, and someone outside the fellow group who are also all foreigners, someone who's, and the kinds of things local ambassadors might do would be even just taking them out for coffee, or going to museum together, or saying, hey, let's folk life festival, or I'm going to this great happy hour, things like that. It's great to have a friend in the city. And they're also really helpful in that first adjustment period in the beginning. So a lot of local ambassadors meet their fellow at the airport and help them get settled. And sometimes, there's limited housing options in DC and all over. And so I guess if the camera's here, I should be standing right here. But there's limited housing options, and so a lot of times, if a fellow doesn't already have housing secured here, then local ambassadors will help them find housing, and sometimes they're even like looking at Craigslist and showing a fellow how to use Craigslist, or saying, sometimes even before fellows arrive, they're going to visit an apartment and saying, I'll check out this apartment for you, and stuff like that. So, and that depends. We do have some housing in DC, but a lot of fellows choose, or either we don't have enough rooms for everyone, or they choose to live elsewhere. So, so sometimes that housing piece is another way to support folks. So either way, it's kind of helping fellows get settled, learn the culture, have someone to talk to. It's a long year and a challenging year, especially when you don't know anyone before you come here. And so local ambassadors are there to be a friend and a source of support. And it is also a very flexible volunteer opportunity. We basically do a meet and greet at the beginning of the year where you meet your fellow, and a lot of times, like I said, you're meeting them at the airport. And then it's kind of like up to you and your fellowship to build that relationship. So some ambassadors become really close friends and hang out all the time, and some, maybe seeing each other every 1 to 2 months for just a quick cup of coffee, or check in by phone every now and then. So it's really up to you and your fellow to choose your schedule, like where and when you want to meet up. So that's also a really flexible volunteer opportunity. And then just sort of closing out with some benefits of being a volunteer. Obviously, you get to know some of the world's greatest nonprofit leaders, some of whom are in this room. And of course, you get to give back. As I mentioned, it's a really flexible schedule. All of these are not things that are necessarily committed to Saturdays, 9 to 12. It's not necessarily like that. Networking, of course, I hope you meet some cool people tonight, and continue to stay involved with Atlas Corps, with our host organizations, our fellows, other volunteers. And of course, you can come to other Atlas Corps events. I don't know if anyone's actually mentioned this yet, but we actually bring in groups of fellows 3 times a year. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our calendar, we bring fellows every January, May, and September, which means there's always something going on at Atlas Corps. Every January, May, and September, we hold a graduation ceremony, a celebration of service to honor our fellows. Every January, May, and September, we have a welcome ceremony for new fellows coming. So there's always something going on. And of course, we're kind of starting this new series of events, our volunteer engagement events, and other things may come up. And then,
oh, it's
okay, so just to close things out with some of our upcoming events, we have our 10th anniversary gala on November 19th. It's gonna be a really exciting party, just go to events.atlascorp.org to learn more about that. Our next Atlas Corp Connects volunteer engagement event is going to be a breakfast on December 1st. Since we have your, once we sign you up we collect all your email addresses, we'll make sure you can receive the invite for that. We're hoping for this to be a monthly thing, and we're kind of experimenting with different times, obviously. And then, of course, if any of you are federal employees, consider us for the combined federal campaign. So those are our upcoming events. Any questions about volunteer roles, Atlas Corp?
You mentioned the time commitment for volunteering.
Sure.
I was wondering, is there also kind of a training in addition to that before you become a volunteer, or is that?
Yeah. So about each of them individually. Selection board, it's something that you can basically do virtually. It's like usually a 90-minute webinar along with a handbook that you read through, and then you can start either interviews or reviewing applications. With local ambassadors, during our, like when fellows arrive, we do kind of a happy hour for local ambassadors and fellows, and usually talk a little bit about the volunteer opportunity then. There's not a ton of training involved in it because it's basically like, hey, be friends. So that training is pretty short. And Evan, I don't know about host champions.
Trimester, every 4 months, we have a webinar for new host champions.
Okay, perfect, cool. Any other questions? Go ahead.
These are also open for current fellows and
everything except the local ambassadors. So you're welcome to be a friend to other fellows, in fact, it's expected. But the local ambassador volunteer role, we're kind of looking for someone who's knows the area, is kind of a little bit more of a native here. But yeah, we absolutely have tons of fellows on our selection board. We've had fellows refer us to host organizations, and we're very grateful to those fellows. So absolutely. And then Hafez,
I was going to ask, this could be non-American, obviously, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, honestly, even local ambassadors, if they're non-American but they live in DC, they're whatever. More permanently. We've even had some local ambassadors who are immigrants or something like that.
Right.
So, just elusive identity.
I think what we're looking for is someone who knows the city well enough to help someone else find a way around.
Yeah.
Citizenship status is not important.
Right, and if someone's like, oh, I don't understand this, what's up with this daylight savings time thing? Why do you guys, what's Thanksgiving about? Like those kinds of questions. It's good to have sort of a guide for our crazy American culture.
It also helps to have individuals who aren't necessarily American, in that access to foreign markets and knowing where you can get different local cuisine at.
Yeah.
That's always great for the fellows' knowledge too.
Yeah, we've definitely had people oh, let's go to the Asian market together, things like that.
Sorry,
go ahead.
A lot of questions here. Do you do interviews for the local ambassadors? How do you know that they are gonna be fit to deal with someone who's coming from a completely different
it's so much referral.
Yeah.
They're almost always known to staff members or have been referred by other local
Yeah,
ambassadors.
there's so many connections there.
It's usually the personal connection. And then the Return Peace for Volunteer Network has broadened that reach.
Yeah.
So this is sort of our first foray into broader outreach.
Cool. There's no further questions right now, although you can also keep asking me questions. We have a volunteer interest form where we can fill out and sort of indicate what kinds of things you're interested in. Some of you, if you volunteered before, or even if you've expressed interest before, you may have already filled out this form online, and this is a good chance to either update or refresh your volunteer interests, or sign up for new things, including any of the volunteer opportunities we have. And there's one volunteer opportunity on there that we didn't really spend a lot of time on, but I just want to briefly mention it, called our Nominator Network. Which is really just, we send out an email a few times a year saying our applications are open, spread the word among your friends and your professional contacts. And it's literally as simple as forwarding an email and or posting on social media the language that we send you. So that's honestly, all of these are pretty flexible volunteer opportunities. That one, honestly, you could spend like 10 minutes a year on it. So it's really simple, just signing up for our email list to spread the word about Atlas Core. But yeah, go ahead and fill out our volunteer interest form, and then we'll be able to help. After this meeting, we'll follow up with you guys about different opportunities.
And there's still plenty of wine and pizza left, and we're all hanging around. So don't feel like you have to get out right away. No,
yeah.
There's no pizza? Oh, okay. Well, there's wine and beer and soda. Anything else for the good of the order?
Thank you so much.
Oh, and also if anyone wants to use a bathroom, it's down the hall on the left. I don't know if anyone mentioned that, but
thank you very much.
thanks. To anyone who was watching online,